speed limit in this
He's
state,
looking
Mr.
at you,
Knapp?
kid.
45 miles an hour.
How fast was I going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
But what about us?
Memories. You're talking about memories.
Good, now have a drink.
I don't want anything of his or any part of it.
Except his life.
I wonder if I know what you mean.
I wonder if you wonder. Played it for her, you play it for me. I lived a few weeks while she loved me. Waiting for a lady. Someday you'll understand that.
Got some news that's gonna take a lot of tension off you and Laura.
Stop it, Dix. I can't take any more of this.
I should be in it for you.
But there is sleep all over America.
Your hosts for the show, Carly Street and Jason D. Morris. Good evening, Carly. How are you?
I can't believe that you didn't know to open the Google Calendar.
I had no idea because I didn't know you could add links. I thought that was pretty interesting. So I was just looking at the days, and folks at home, we use Google Calendar now to schedule things, and because it's shareable and all that kind of good stuff. But I know that you could go in and you can set like the title of stuff and the time and the day and all that. But I didn't know that you had to I didn't know you could add links. That was super cool. So
were you getting really annoyed with me because you kept saying the same thing, and I bet you're thinking she's not doing it. Why she said that she's done it? Because she's not done it.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. Well, not annoyed, but I was just like, I don't know what I'm missing, or maybe am I in the right calendar? Because I didn't see anything was changing. I only saw the one day that said like one movie like in the title, and I didn't think about that to click on it. So I'm just like, oh, so how long was that up there?
Since the day after you asked me to put the links in.
Oh, that figures. That figures.
I was actually really organized, and I did what you asked straight away, so I didn't forget.
Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah, I got to pay more attention to stuff, I think. Yeah. Man, it's been crazy over here. So my son we're in California, and he moved to Illinois. And that alone is like pretty ridiculous because he's like turning 21. And I'm like, I don't know where the time went. It's just nuts. And he bought a house out in Illinois. And so this past, like a week ago, we just got back, I think last Sunday. And we filled up a trailer with all of his stuff and drove it across country to him, and then unloaded it and helped him with his house, and then drove straight back. So it's like 60 hours in a vehicle, and we get home and we're just like fried. And then we have to deal with cleaning the house up after, moving all of this stuff. Because I swear to God, he had enough stuff to fill like 2 houses in this tiny little room that he lived in here. And it's just like, where did this all go? Or like, I don't know. It's like you walk into his room and it was nice. It wasn't like a mess or anything. But when we start packing, it's like we had so many boxes. We filled an entire trailer in the back of a long bed truck with his stuff. Wow. And it was just like, it was insane. So anyways, that's been challenging, this like whole empty nest sort of like thing. We're only halfway through. We're only halfway through. Autumn, our daughter, turns 18 this month. And
that's scary.
It is, right? It's so crazy. I don't know.
Lily's 15. She was 15 last week. 15. Even Dad were like, date's right. She's 15. She is.
Yeah, it's really, because I mean, you remember them being like little, they would talk when we're talking, that kind of thing. It's just like, it's just a really surreal kind of thing, and it's like, I don't like it at all.
I don't like it either, Jason, because we're going to blink and then you're going to have no teeth. I'm going to have no hair, and we're still going to be sat here going, what? Google candle link, what's it?
You might have no teeth and I might have no hair. Actually, my hair. This is my hairline that I've had since I was a little kid, and I've always gotten made fun of for like, oh, your hair, you're losing your hair. But no, this is just I just got fucked with genetics. That's nice. But what have you been up to? What's been going on in your life? Because mine's just been.
We went on holiday last week.
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about that, but I saw you like post something at some point, and I was just like, "Oh, that's cool. She's on vacation." Gritting my teeth because I wish I was.
Oh, well, it was like we went to like a caravan park, and it seemed like a really good deal at the time because it was quite cheap. So I just I'm not last minute. I don't do things like that, and I realise now why I don't do that. But I did. It was in January, not long after my nan died, and I just saw it. I was like, "We're going. I don't care." So I booked it, and then you realise I had to drive like for 3 hours up and down mountains in my little car that does not want to even go to the end of the road with a sat nav that didn't work.
This brand new car that you replaced your same old car with, right?
Yeah. So, and I hate driving. I hate driving so much. So,
yeah,
I didn't take that into consideration when I booked it at all. And then we got there, and because it was kind of the start of the season, we were basically like the testing ground for all the staff that they'd hired. So, don't get me wrong, some of the places that we went, because all of the stuff was on the site, so you didn't have to leave the campsite at all. There was like bars, entertainment, like arcades, everything, adventure stuff. It was really good facilities.
right.
And you'd go to one place and you'd get really good service and it'd be really, really nice. And then they'd clock off, somebody else would clock on, and it would just be like, ugh. Really? But you can't be mad because they're new.
Right. Yeah, what can you do about it?
Yeah, you can't really be that arsehole that starts moaning because they don't know what a pint is or how to pour it. You just kind of have to stand there politely smiling, going, "She'll get it in a minute."
So is that like a what'd you call it again? What is it?
Caravan site.
Caravan. So that's like a RV, like a motorhome, camping.
No.
Caravan. What am I missing? What is it?
Static caravan. So it's kind of like.
It's like a caravan is a bunch of vehicles driving and then gathering in the same place. Like that's a caravan, right?
Maybe like, well, it's a static caravan, so it doesn't move. Maybe like a trailer park, maybe. Then what do you have on a trailer park?
Okay. Well, usually
Then
that's like a place where people live.
I think it's kind of like the same style setup as one of those.
Okay.
Except they're used as holiday homes.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think
probably
we have
the
that
closest
out here.
thing.
Yeah, out here it'd probably be something that's like cabins.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the ones that you're saying are like actual like trailers. Like those like mobile home type things.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you do get people that buy them and live there because they're usually on the coast and stuff like that. So you will get people that live in them, but most people have them, and to get the money back, rent them out.
Okay. And these are like kind of like more like an upscale sort of like version, like a nicer kind of like vacation-y like thing.
Yeah, well, they go in grades like anything. So you have like the absolute squalor ones, then you have like slightly better ones, and then you have like the massive ones that have like decking and all sorts of. We weren't in one of them, Jason.
Okay. Well, I was thinking like out here, we don't have that because like a trailer park out here is like the lowest. That's like where you live here as a step up of being homeless almost. So like a trailer park out here is like, that's like your white trash kind of like, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody that lives in them or anything. That's just sort of like how it's like kind of viewed here. And I've lived in them before with like, you know, when I was a kid, stuff like that. So it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, you can't quite ever buy a home, so you live in this little sort of thing, and nobody upkeeps them. And there are some nice ones in places, but no place out here that I know of where it's like you go there for like a vacation or anything like that. It's like the place you're running from. Yeah.
If anybody wants to rent me one, I would. I'll look after it. I'm very tidy.
Yeah, no, some of them are actually like super nice and nicer than houses. You know what I mean? There's like a stigma out here about trailer parks. There's a trailer park trash is kind of like the title.
Love that. I'd be living in one of them. I'd be quite happy.
Oh, I'll tell you. Did you ever watch My Name Is Earl? It's like that.
Yeah.
That's like what it is, but more or less.
Can they get them moved then to different sites as well? Because that's the main problem why people get rid of them and they get sort of rented out over here, is because if they're over a certain age, the park, like the company, so ours was like Haven. So the company will suddenly say, that's too old to be rented out. You can't have it on here anymore. You're going to lose your pitch if you don't buy another one, basically. So then they have to go through the expensive rigmarole of trying to find another park that will take it, and then they have to have it like shipped and moved, which is really costly.
Right. Yeah, no, out here, none of that stuff that I'm aware of is like a thing. Like, it's like people leave it there and it stays there forever. And that's just how it is. And I don't know if it's like owned by the person living in it or by the person that owns the property. I'm not really sure, but I don't think I've ever seen them like moving. So I'm not sure.
Going to come to your country and start a revolution. I'm going to get all the trailers on the trailer park and I'm going to move them near to beaches and stuff. And you've got loads and countryside and mountains. And then I'm going to charge tourists to be in them, like an Airbnb.
Right. There you go.
For a holiday.
They're going to see you come with those trailers and be like, oh, no, nope, turn around.
Get out. Get out. Canada said they'll let you in. You get out of here.
Right. Everybody's going to Canada. That's funny. So you guys stayed out there. What else did you do? You said it was by a beach, or was Lily with you, or you guys by yourself?
Yeah, it was for Lily's birthday, because she's at that age now where she likes one thing one day, she doesn't like it another day. We have absolutely no idea what to buy her. Yeah. So we kind of this was like £100 to stay, by the way, for 4 nights. So we just said to her, we booked it, like, that's your birthday, you can do whatever you want. The problem was, because everything was on the park, it made it more expensive. Because you didn't need to leave, so you had to kind of like pay the prices, which was like triple what it would have been. But you're paying for the convenience of not going anywhere, so you can't really argue. But she loved it. She was like a kid again on the arcade. She even actually ventured out with us to go to the entertainment, because they have entertainment on each night. She actually came with us and sat with us. Well,
first off, that's cool that they have an arcade, because that's kind of rarity these days. And even cooler, you got your 15-year-old daughter to hang out with you. That's like, what? Right?
We're like, yeah, what? Yeah. We're the cool parents.
Yeah, I thought it would get better the older that my daughter gets. She'd get more like adult and like be cool with hanging out with us. No. She's all about her friends. Later, mom and dad. Well, she probably will hang out with Shawnee more than she will me. But I'm always like, come on, please, will you go to the movies with me? No, I'm going with my friends. Billy. Yeah.
Please come sit with me and watch Star Trek. Mom, right? I watched it once. Please watch it again with me. Just give me this.
That's funny. And then you start to think back, well, did I treat my mom this way? Did I treat my dad this way? Let's not talk about that. I don't have to
think back, because my mum is literally on the phone to me whenever I complain about anything, basically giving me calm as a bitch, and she just puts the phone down. No interest. I'm like, I've told me everything I need to know. Yeah.
Yeah, right. She's over there laughing at you.
Mom.
That's great.
Sorry, Mum, I'll sit and watch the Beach Boys with you for the 15th millionth time. I'm sorry. Give me the time
back. There you go. All right. Well, I know we're on a bit of a time frame today, so let's move on to our drink for tonight. Tonight's cocktail is called the Final Edition. Sharp, invigorating with a jolt of caffeine and a splash of danger, just like the race to beat the press deadline in this movie, which I was actually surprised by this film. The ingredients is 1 ounce of rye whiskey, 1 ounce of cold brew coffee, half ounce of Amaro, a quarter ounce of simple syrup, and 2 dashes of orange bitters. And you garnish it with a orange peel that is slapped and dropped. Which I really think is kind of interesting. The whole like when you see them like slapping like the little peels and stuff to like get the oils out and shit like that, because I don't buy into that crap, but I mean that's what they're supposed to be doing and stuff. And I'm like, you know what?
Like,
even if you
$2 on the drink because they slap it
yeah,
the same way.
yeah, and drop in their greasy hands that have touched your orange peel into your drink. Where your hands been? Right. Stir all ingredients over ice, like the spinning. So, like, that was another thing I thought was kind of funny. If you watch them when they stir a drink, instead of like shaking it, they got those stir like spoons, right? And they're sort of twisted at the top. So I learned this recently. Actually, not recently. It was a little while ago, but I was reminded of it recently. Where if you just don't stir it like invigorating, because it melts the ice in the drink and waters it down. So you literally are moving. You have to turn the spoon in your fingers and you move the ice in a circle to cool it, the drink, without it causing the ice to melt. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So it doesn't water your drink down. So that's what you do with this. Strain into a chilled coupe glass and garnish with the orange peel. Slapped. And that is it. That is the final edition. And I made this one for a drink with caffeine in it, because all of these news scenes, like I was kind of impressed with this being in 1952, and I don't recall. I know there's probably a few, but I don't recall seeing like a newspaper type movie this like early on kind of thing, you know, that is fast paced like that in the newsroom sort of thing. And I know that's just my lack of knowledge, but it's one of the earliest ones that I've seen. So I was pretty impressed with it. And I don't think I've given away the title yet, so that's a good thing. But no, it's not a good thing, because we're about to play the trailer, right? So, folks at home, enjoy your final edition and watch the trailer for tonight's movie.
Man in the world. Your whole life. I don't want to change that. I got a right to a life too, and you can't give it to me.
Can he? Can you be the same way with him you were with me? Is it that easy?
Yes, this is the story of a hard-hitting editor who refused to let his newspaper be killed, who came out fighting with the cold steel of facts to turn the spotlight of a free press on the truth.
This paper will fight for progress and reform. We'll never be satisfied merely with printing the news. We'll never be afraid to attack wrong, whether by predatory wealth or predatory poverty. You're not selling the day, you're killing it.
This is highly irregular procedure.
So is the murder of a newspaper. Never beat up a reporter, they say. It's like killing a cop on duty, they say. Never drop girls in the river, clothed or unclothed, they say.
Very funny.
Tomorrow's newspaper will be even funnier. That's the Rienzi I like to see. This way you start shooting.
You wouldn't have had a wife if that newspaper had beautiful legs.
I guess they made them different in your day.
Yeah, the girls nowadays have the stuff, but they're brittle. Break more easily. Don't roll with the punches.
Did I have a pleasant time last night?
Yes, dear.
I did. Well, What do you know?
Wait a minute, don't hang up. Here's some advice for you, friend. Don't print that story.
What's that supposed to be? An order?
If not tonight, then tomorrow. Maybe next week, maybe next year. But sooner or later, you'll catch it. Print that story, you're a dead man.
All right. I love the trailer because they did some interesting, like seamless little cuts where they're using multiple scenes, but it feels like one scene, which is it's pretty fun. Having just watched the movie, but folks, that is Deadline, 1952 American film noir crime film starring Humphrey Bogart, Ethel Barrymore, and Kim Hunter. And you know what? I forgot to research whether Ethel Barrymore is related to like John Barrymore or Drew Barrymore or any of that. Kim Hunter, and written and directed by Richard Brooks. So before we get any further, because I don't want to forget, we need to do Carly's in a nutshell synopsis.
I've got 2.
Yay! I love it when you have 2.
I've got
Awesome.
2.
Nice.
Okay. Right. The first one is, let me just make sure I don't read them both out at the same time as one. Humphrey Bogart, using an endless supply of money, favours and bourbon, gives the most ineffective gangster some old-fashioned schooling in journalism.
Right. That's pretty good.
And then the second one is, if the CIA ran a newspaper.
That's fun. It's so funny how you can make like these like short ones that are like almost just, you know, funnier than the that's pretty good. I like that. So I said something earlier about not seeing like a newspaper like film, and then it like hit me. I was like, I love, one of my favorite movies in the world is Citizen Kane, but then I never think of Citizen Kane as being like a newspaper movie, even though it's about a newspaper owner, right? There's so much newspaper in that movie, but it never like hits me as like a newspaper film because it's so intricate, and it goes beyond that. And watching that trailer, it reminded me of that because there's so much of like him and his relationship with his wife in that trailer, which this movie has, but isn't really about, right?
No.
Yeah. And I think that was just because of the Academy Award stuff or whatever. But so it was just like, oh yeah, Citizen Kane. Why did I say that? But this was probably the earliest one that felt like the movie Newsroom or God, I can't even think of the titles right now, but has that sort of like fast-paced news reporter kind of environment in it that worked really well. And
But
I'm going to say
me a lot of His Girl Friday.
You know, I haven't seen that one.
Harry Grant film, because that is so fast-paced. Like,
is it a newspaper movie? I haven't seen it.
The banter between them is just so quick. It was one of the first older films that I ever watched, and I was like, oh my god, how are they doing this? Because it's almost like, and they're wandering around in like one scene, so you can clearly see it's not cut. You can clearly see how it's that they're doing it in one go, and it's just incredible, just how snappy and like witty and bantery, and it's really complex dialogue actually as well. And this reminded me so much of that.
Okay, is that I haven't seen that movie. Is that a newspaper movie?
Yeah. It's the main character's like an editor or something.
Oh, okay. What year was that one?
2 seconds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
1940. His Girl Friday.
Okay.
Because I had to double check that it was the right film that I was thinking of, and I wasn't just thinking of a random Cary Grant film.
Because I've heard of it. I'm not a huge Cary Grant fan, so I've never seen it. Not that that matters, but I know it's a celebrated movie. But yeah, that was like, it reminded me, you know what movie it kind of reminded me of? The like newsroom scenes. And I know this is going to sound odd, but Fincher's Zodiac. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they did a really good job in that film with the newspaper scenes. as well. And I learned that this movie was actually based on. I'm going to read this because I'm going to get it wrong if I don't. The newspaper used as the background of the film, called The Day, is loosely based upon the old New York Sun, which closed in 1950. The original Sun newspaper was edited by Benjamin Day, making the 1952's Film's newspaper name. So they based it heavily on this newspaper that ended up being sold off and closed, and then used the person's name as the newspaper in the movie. I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put this out there. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me or hate me for saying this. I'm not sure, but so far, and I haven't seen all of his films, but I think this is the best acted Bogart movie that I've seen. I think
it's very close. Because my
he did a
favorite,
phenomenal job.
I think my favorite that he's done is The African Queen.
Oh yeah.
But this was I was really impressed because as much as I love Humphrey Bogart, sometimes he can be a little bit lazy in some films.
Sure.
Kind of like he relies on the lazy personality acting. So this one was like quite a surprise to me because he's very switched on. He's very commanding, isn't he?
Yeah, I just it's every scene I believed him. He's a newspaper dude, and I was really impressed with that. So I'm surprised. I've never heard of this film before, and I don't know why.
I've never seen this one.
Really? Oh, interesting.
No.
For some reason, I just feel like you've seen every Bogart movie. I don't know why. Yeah, I was really impressed with that. I was like everything about I think the only stuff that I didn't really care about was him and his wife. I think that was the only stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't overly keen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't very nice, was she?
Well, I mean, I understand that she's getting married to somebody else, whatever. But then she's also not being good about that either. But so there's some funny scenes, I guess. I love that scene. Did I have a good time? That was pretty funny. Actually, I have some quotes. I'm going to do some quotes here. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't remember the actress's name right now, but the newspaper lady, she's super fun. Early in the movie, she says, I guess when the newspaper's they could just get word that it's going to be sold off and closed, and I don't know, she's talking about people running out or whatever. And she says, don't forget to trample the women, loudmouth. That was so hilarious. And the same woman later on says, no, not her. It was the wife of the newspaper owner that died. She said, she's frustrated. She's like, oh, shut up, please. she's like realizes that she was rude. And she's like, please. That was super funny. There were some great moments in this movie. I thought were really fun.
Yeah, like when the woman's on the bar, when they're doing the wake for the newspaper. Oh my God, that is so good. Can we do that every time a project that we do doesn't work? Can we just have a wake? Because I couldn't believe that. And that newspaper woman, she sits on the bar and she's like, I've got rotis and I've got my baby.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. Yeah, and that's the same girl as my first quote there. Yeah. That was good. Yeah,
I like that.
I like that. Yeah, it was pretty good. So I guess this is sort of you would call it sort of a commentary on real life, in the newspaper business back then or something like that. Because it's this is post Industrial Revolution stuff, and media is really sunk in for the past 50 years or so. And I think there's a lot of, probably a little bit earlier, there's a lot of selling and buying of media conglomerates and trading hands and all that kind of stuff. And by the 50s, I guess this is after, quite a ways after a lot of the noir movement stuff. So that was one thing that I actually want to talk to you about. Do you actually think this is a noir? Do you feel like this is a noir?
I don't really. I did check 3 times, and
it's listed as one for sure. Yeah,
as noir, but I don't really. Doesn't feel like one. It doesn't really look like one.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't come.
So I'm wondering if it just does it just get pigeonholed because of the time period or what? Because I mean, wouldn't even really call it a crime drama. I mean, I know it's got the crime element to it. It's like, yeah, it's an interesting movie, but it's more like it's just a drama, you know?
He
kind of
doesn't
thing.
do anything. It's the
Yeah.
crime boss that he's trying to bring down. He does
terrible.
absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, he did kill 2 people or had them
No,
killed
but
or
he
whatever.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Normally, when you have these like horrible villains, you see them all. You know very clearly that their actions have done something. With him, he kind of was just like on the phone every now and again, like,
Yeah. You better not. Oh, you did it. Oh.
don't do that. Everything was
Yeah.
kind of like past tense. Everything that happened, like the woman and obviously the reporter,
Yeah.
because that was so early on, he didn't do anything else at all that was
Right.
menacing or threatening. Even when he was trying to threaten Humphrey Bogart, he hit him with a newspaper and didn't even hit him in the face.
Right.
He sat on his desk and yelled at him on the phone.
Yeah. Which I was surprised to see.
Like, they're quite villainous.
Right. Yeah. They like chew the scenery. It's like a big like sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised in the trailer that they show the end of the movie. Like in it, where he's talking on the phone, threatens them. I mean, that's literally the end of the movie. You know, that was crazy. But that was fun. So I think maybe it might be a possibility that they didn't make him very villainous because the real villain might be more of the sort of like real world commentary of like the newspaper setting and the selling of it and people losing their jobs and all that kind of stuff. Might be more of it because it's like a movie about, well, greed and money and whatever. And that could be a case, and maybe more the bad guy is just really scenery, more or less.
Yeah.
That could be a part of it. And that might be why it doesn't feel as much like a noir movie, maybe, because it doesn't really have the look of it. It doesn't have, a lot of the tropes of noir, but I've found that interesting that it is listed everywhere as a film noir. Yeah. Whose is your favorite character in the movie? Like, who'd you like the best?
The newspaper owner's wife.
Really? Okay, yeah. She was pretty fun. Yeah. I really like, I wish I could remember her name. I really like the girl from my quote.
The newspaper reporter.
Yeah, she's just so quick-witted and like she's just fun. Yeah, I wish she was in it more. Like I wish there was like a sequel where her and Bogart have to team up and go, investigate something. That would be super cool.
It would have been better if she was investigating a bit more, like getting to the root of the story a bit more. They kind of just like brought her in, said a few lines, and then that was that.
Yeah. Imagine if she was the reporter that he sent out and got beat up, and they're in like the hospital, the ambulance or whatever it was, and he's talking to the doctor. He's probably going to lose his eye. Could you imagine how like that would have been crazy for that time?
Oh my God. That would have been villainous as well, though, because even though he would have done the same thing at the beginning that he ended up doing, because it was, this sounds really horrible, but because it was a woman, that would stick in your head for the rest of the film. So he wouldn't have to do anything else because what he'd already done would have been that bad. You'd have been like, bring him down, Bogart.
Yeah. Isn't that so funny how and then I don't mean this like disrespectful, but we care more about what happens to a woman on screen than we do a dude. That's weird, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been like, that would have been super interesting had they made that. It probably wouldn't have worked like motion picture code or some shit like that.
No.
Yeah. Probably would have been a thing. Let's see. I didn't, other than the 2 quotes that I have, I didn't really like write down any of the like dialogue that I liked, but I really thought that the writing in this movie was pretty good. And again, it's like, it's one of those movies where when I saw Deadline, I never heard of it. Oh, Humphrey Bogart. It's probably one of those like throwaway cheap movies or whatever. And so I was surprised at how much I really liked it. that as I'm paying attention to it, I thought like the writing was really good, like the dialogue and the way that people like portrayed even like when the guy, after he tells everybody, yeah, they're closing, and the dude cleaning his glasses comes into his office and he pours him a drink and all that. Even like the side characters, like their interactions and dialogue just feel very real and natural, and I thought it was really good. So I was just impressed, like the whole movie. I mean, not everything, but just I think not expecting it to be necessarily a great movie or anything like that. So little things stuck out to me more, I think. Yeah. But are you into like newspaper movies? Like, are you into like news media type stuff?
No.
Yeah, because
No,
I typically, like I don't navigate to them at all. Like if one comes, like there was that one that came out about the Harvey Weinstein like thing, and like I didn't want to see it. That Civil War movie came out with Kate, what's her name, Titanic girl, I can't think of her name.
Oh, Winslet.
Kate Winslet, and I didn't really care to see it. There's like every time like a newspaper type or like reporter type movie comes out, like I have no desire to see it, but every time I see one, it's like I really like them, and so I like have this weird like don't want to see it, but I end up like really liking the movie kind of thing, and it's just odd to me. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I'm not attracted to. Like when I see like a trailer about them, I'm just like, I just don't want to see that. But then when I do, I'm just like, wow, that was a good movie. Because it almost feels like they're like investigators.
I don't mind like when they're. I don't really like the movies, but we used to have anyway quite a lot of sort of like 3-part or 4-part like thrillers that would be on TV.
Oh yeah.
One was like stuff like State of Play, and I really liked when it was like a big deep conspiracy, and they were like investigative journalists. So you didn't spend a lot of time in the newsroom stuff. It was all like what they did in their house and that kind of thing. I quite like that route of it, but not when it's all sort of go in the newsroom and that kind of how it is in the film.
Right,
it's more quick, more sort of contained there.
Yeah, because at that point, it becomes a movie where it's like that could be a police detective, that could be a private investigator. It doesn't necessarily have to be a news reporter, because it's just somebody out investigating something, right? As to where like when it takes place primarily more like in the newsroom, it's like, okay, we're sitting with reporters. It's a little different. And that's the reason why, like, even like I was just thinking about it, like, I don't know if you're into that movie, but Fletch, I really love Fletch a lot. Chevy Chase. You don't know that one? That's based on a book. And it's obviously it's a comedy, and then I think they just did a remake, which I think was terrible, with the Mad Men guy. Weird juxtaposition there. John Hamm.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think of his name.
Yeah. And he just has, in my opinion, has zero charisma. That dude's got like no charisma at all. I think he's just boring as hell to me. Everything I see him in, and they're trying so hard to make him like a movie star. I don't know, but he's just so boring to me. And to play like you know who Chevy Chase is, right? He's very animated. Yeah. He's like an early Jim Carrey kind of dude, or something like that. He's got very physical, like comedy and like funny faces, that kind of stuff. So going from a movie that he stars in that was really good to like John Hamm, who is just like a walking stick to me. He's got no personality. It was just like, it was so terrible. Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, my point was Chevy Chase works in a newspaper, right? And he's like an investigative reporter. And that was just another newspaper movie that I love, and I don't like newspaper movies, and that's weird.
No, obviously not. No.
Right. Yeah, it's like, no, actually, you do like newspaper movies. You're just too afraid to say it.
You just don't want to admit it. Just go with it. Just let it take you.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna. I know you have to leave soon, so I'm going to. Unless there's any other talking points that you wanted to go over on the film, we can move on to our rating. Maybe I know it's a bit short episode, but
I don't think so. I didn't really make a lot of notes on it, to be honest, because I pretty much enjoyed it from start to finish.
yeah.
I was quite content watching it from start to finish, so I didn't have anything specific that stood out, but there was nothing to nitpick either.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way. It sounds like I wasn't really interested in it. I was so happy watching it that
Sure.
nothing really just stuck in, if you know what I mean, other than the overall.
Yeah, it's a sign of like just a good movie. You know, sometimes you don't. It doesn't give you enough time to just stop and be like, they could have done that better, or like whatever. You know. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So, what's your rating?
So, I was a little bit torn. Because if I had to sit and nitpick afterwards, the only thing I can say is that I didn't really think the villain arc was wrapped up very well, because I didn't think that the ending was wrapped up very well. It just kind of, I was quite happy to sit there for another half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised when it went off. I was just like, oh, okay. So they didn't save the newspaper. Did they get the guy? Is the reporter lost his eye? Is he back with his wife? It just kind of went, mic drop, boom.
Yeah.
So I was so enjoying it, and I don't think it's not like it was bad, but it kind of just, it was a fine movie finishing as it was. I personally just would have enjoyed a little bit more closure on at least something, even if it was just one scene of the guy being arrested or walking in the street or reading the newspaper. Just one more frame would have just been, would have been a 10.
Yeah.
So it has to be a 9. Can I do a 9.5?
Oh,
do we have halves?
Sure, you can drink half a bottle. Of course.
9.5.
Why not? Yeah, I think it's a pretty good rating. I'm a little bit lower than you. Yeah. And it's precisely for those reasons, for actually 3 that we already talked about. So for me, it's like so the ex-wife adds a little drama, but I don't think it was necessary. Maybe it serves a little bit of moral ambiguity with Bogart's character, just because he's, coming on to his ex-wife who's getting married to another man, and like that's not, okay. So it's like, so it's funny because he's got strong morals in the newsroom sort of thing, but like maybe in his personal life, it's kind of giving a bit of a character arc, but I don't think it was necessary. And those scenes weren't, although there's some fun stuff, they weren't amazing scenes or anything. Like you could just cut them in and be fine, I think. The villain, like you pointed out, like he really doesn't do much, and it's all sort of like behind the scenes kind of stuff and just a couple phone calls or whatever. So who cares? But again, that could just be because the movie is really about something else, which is fine. And then, the ending, it was very, like for a lot of noir films, the runtime is typically a little shorter, for movies of that period. This one was like almost, I think, an hour and a half or hour and 27 minutes or something like that. So it was actually a little longer. And it is weird to have that feeling where it's like, oh, that could have been another 10 minutes, Yeah. They could have ran that another 10 minutes and that would have been perfectly fine. Like it wouldn't have felt long. It would have been, they could have wrapped up a few things, but it feels like they're just like, bam. Okay. And then what does that mean? Like, is it just, and you're wondering, so this movie, is it just him out to get the bad guy? Is it him to like trying to keep the newspaper alive? And you don't know if any of that happens, but if it's based on the real world, like history, well, obviously the newspaper gets sold. If people at the time knew that it was about this paper that it, was being sold off, then well, it's like the Titanic sinking. Why go see the Titanic? It's going to sink. That's my personal view. Say the Titanic, whatever. But it's like one of those things. So what was the point? I don't know. He's just a newspaper man, and this is his job. So yeah, I think they could have, like you said, played it out a little bit more. So anyway, long-winded answer for my rating. I give it an 8. Because I did really, really like everything about the movie in terms of like the writing and the acting, particularly the acting. I think everybody was really good in this movie, except the bad guy. I didn't think he was good. Like, besides his character.
What's he got to do though? What's he got to work with?
That's true. Yeah. So it might not even be his fault. It could be that portion. Because I really enjoy all of the writing except for the bad guy stuff.
It's like they sort of like somebody else to write his bit, almost like they had to add him in to, which may well have happened because I don't really, even now you couldn't really get away with easily doing a film about a real life kind of newspaper that's being bought off by people, and then when they can't be bought off by people, they shut it down. So if it was sort of like a commentary, especially at the time, of stuff like that, maybe they did have to go, oh, well, that's not really what we're saying. Obviously, there's a gangster. Somebody write a gangster. And that's how they got it, sort of pushed through. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. It could very easily been a reshoot or something like that, or like added scenes. Because we've seen that before in other movies that we've covered. Yeah, where they've like really tacked on an ending. No, not really. No. Yeah. So I would agree with that, but it's such a weird. It stands out so much because everything else I think is so good. Like when you get to those scenes with them, it's just kind of like, okay, what's happening next? Yeah. So, anyways, that's why I gave it an 8 because I really enjoyed it, and I do think it would have been really fun to see like a sequel or something with him and the other lady reporter. I think that would be super fun. But. Yeah. Otherwise, I think it's a great movie for people to check out, and one that I have never heard of before. And that was a great suggestion, Carly. Where'd you find it?
Thank you. Do you know? I can't even remember. It was on like a random playlist that I haven't been able to find again. Loads of really, really. I even found a Neo Noir with Alan Ladd.
Oh,
Thankfully,
really? Okay.
I got the link for it. Or I got the name of the film so that I could find the link again, and I put it in the Google Calendar.
Okay.
At the time,
I'll have to click on the link.
Alan Ladd. How the hell? But it was it was a bit of an odd one, and because it was Humphrey Bogart and I didn't recognise it, I thought you might appreciate it. Plus, we've now watched somebody get crushed in a printer press.
Right? Yes. People opening up their newspapers with, it's the blood splatters. It's a little bit of brains.
It's like that police guy was like more of a, not police guy, the one that was pretending to be a policeman. He was more like evil than the villain.
Right? Yeah. Like he had some good henchmen, right?
Well, one good henchman.
Right.
And the rest were just like little puppies going, ooh.
Whatever you say, boss. When do we get our check? No, absolutely. No, well, great pick, Carly. I think it was really good. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I hope you guys also enjoy your movie and maybe try to make the final edition drink. I do. Do you enjoy like cocktail drinks that have like coffee or even like the ones like Red Bull or something like that? Do you?
Not like energy drinks, but I do coffee.
Okay, because I don't really drink like Red Bulls or anything, but I've had a couple drinks where they use it like in the mix, and I thought that actually tastes pretty good. And I like that sort of like counter reaction to like, because alcohol these days makes me kind of drowsy. You know, after I have like 2 drinks, I'm just like, it's bedtime. You know, so that little extra.
That, you'll be like,
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the coffee one, like Irish coffee or whatever. Things like that I like because it like gives me a little boost of of caffeine, and you get to enjoy your caffeine and your alcohol. Yeah. So anyway, folks, enjoy checking out Deadline and the final edition drink if you get around to making that. And I hope you enjoy the film as much as we did. And tell us what you think. I don't know, leave a comment or something. Or we used to have that thing where people could call in and people would call us and like leave comments and stuff. I found a couple of those laying around from days past. I miss Anchor. I miss it.
I miss Anchor.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool feature. People could call us. But anyway, guys, check it out and leave a comment and tell us what you think of the movie. All right. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
He's looking at you, kid.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Speakeasy Noircast. Make sure to visit our website, resurrectionfilms.net, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps so you'll never miss a show.